Hello, happy Sunday. It's Sunday the 8th of March 2020. We'll take a look at the astrology going through from today right through till Friday the 13th, when I will be, but there's a number to conjure with, Friday the 13th. And I'll be back on Friday with a look at the weekend ahead. So it's going to be quite a momentous week as well. Two big things happening tomorrow the 9th. We've got full moon coming in. That's going to be 1:47 in the afternoon Eastern, 3 hours before that Pacific, and actually 5:47 p.m. in UK because we're on daylight saving time now. But we'll start with today, Sunday the 8th. At the very moment I'm doing this, the moon is actually still in Leo, but she's going to enter Virgo about 10:47 a.m. in UK time. So by the time this is out, it'll be a Virgo moon, and that's setting the scene for the full moon in Virgo. A few things happening today, though, that are worth covering. Let me see. Venus is actually semi-square Neptune at the moment. Now, Venus is in Taurus, so that's quite earthy, quite grounded, and quite good for getting things done, and a fair bit of compassion around in matters of love and money at the moment, which is nice. And so Neptune is actually in Pisces, so really positive alignment there. At 8:23 at night, let me see, no, we've already done that, haven't we? The Sun is actually going to conjunct Neptune as well, and that will be the case by the time you're watching this video, which is why I kind of hesitated a bit there. Sun in Pisces, well, we know that because it's Pisces' birthday month at the moment, and Neptune again in Pisces, so that's going to be a conjunct. Is not the easiest thing going really, but with both in Pisces I don't see any problems coming up there. Also today, Venus in Taurus is going to conjunct Uranus, also in Taurus, so there's a lot of Taurus influence actually going on today. And if things get difficult, you might want to take a complete rest, because as well as being a great compassionate sign and a star sign of getting things done, Taurus is also a time to take a complete rest, which makes sense if you think about it, because that is the best way to really get things done, if you're sort of rested and ready to rock and roll, as it were. Sun in Pisces, semi-square Uranus coming up later today, and that's another interesting one really, because you've got the Piscean compassion and the Taurian grounding, because Uranus is actually in Taurus at the moment. But there we are. We will then move on to Monday the 9th, and that is a big day really, because as I was saying, at 5:47 p.m. UK time, 1:47 p.m. Eastern, 12, 11, 10:47 a.m, nearly 11 a.m. actually on the Pacific coast of the States and Canada, we get that full moon in Virgo. And it's a time of great fullness really, because what we've got there is the Sun in Pisces opposing the Moon in Virgo, and so things culminate. You know, everything in nature is at a peak really of energy at that time. It's a great time to get your manifesting head on. If you use a wand, that's the time to kind of point it to the skies and make a wish, I suppose, for want of a better way of putting it. But really it's about bringing great things into being when we get a new moon. All the energy is there. This one is an emotional kind of time where there's romance. Things can get kind of fertilized, you know, and really activated. Relationships, it can be a tricky time for relationships actually. I've been in touch with people, because I do readings all the time, and I've been in touch with people really over the last week or so who are starting to see things going on in relationships and wonder about them. Juno is retrograde at the moment, and that's going to be the case right through until May, and Juno is the planet of serious relationships, so it could be tricky, you know. But basically be aware that this time hypes itself up in so many ways, you know, because a supermoon, which is what it's going to be, is really quite a powerful one. It's when the moon comes as close to the earth as she's going to get on her transit, and the full moon is actually coming on that, so it's a really powerful one. This actual phase occurs at, let me see, 19, I'm just checking my chart here, 19 degrees and 37 minutes of Virgo, so it's going to affect people born with personal planets and points around kind of 16 to 24 degrees of the mutable signs. That would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius and Pisces are the mutable signs. They're the people who are going to be most significantly affected. To really go into the nitty gritty on that, I would have to look at everyone's birth chart, which obviously I can't do in this video, but I'm always saying it, get a birth chart done if you haven't yet. All the big astrological websites are actually doing them. So let us take a look at the way things stand today, actually, as we go into next week, because it sets the scene really for where we're going. The Sun right now conjunct Neptune. It's kind of uncertain, it's unspecific. Things are unclear basically, and things that go on can be confusing. What on earth was that? That kind of thing happening. But it's a great time for spiritual reflection. It's a creative time for leadership with vision, and that has actually been the case for some time now. So that is something I hope we're all used to by now. The moon itself about to enter Virgo as I speak. Well, the Virgo moon is going to speak for itself when it comes. This is a void, of course, at the moment, which happens when the moon is in between one sign. It's not quite in Leo anymore, and she's not quite in Virgo either. So, not much going on early in the morning UK time or late at night in the States and Canada. But that Virgo moon is coming in, and it's going to be very, very powerful when she gets here. Mercury square Uranus. Well, Mercury is retrograde, and that's the other big event I've got to talk about that's happening tomorrow, because Mercury is actually going to end its retrograde. About time too. We've had 3 good weeks of that, and there are actually going to be about maybe 20 days, so very nearly 3 weeks of post-shadow to the retrograde. So basically, Mercury's going to turn direct tomorrow in 28 degrees and 13 minutes of Aquarius. And then it'll be in the post-shadow until the 29th of March. It's actually been retrograde since the 16th of February, and that was in Pisces. And Mercury retrograde, it gets overdone, really. I don't think it needs to cause as much worry as it actually causes people. It's true, you get big problems around communication, largely based on misunderstandings. But once you've worked through those and started seeing what it was all about, things get a lot better. You don't tend to make any of the same mistakes again that you might have made in the past. It basically is all about raising our awareness of things that we're just not kind of switched on to in the world around us. So that's happening, and there will be the post-shadow going right through until the 29th of March. And on the 29th of March, I am very much looking forward to giving an astrology presentation in Pembrokeshire. Really looking forward to that. Okay, let's check the moon alignments and phases and things as we go through the week. So a full moon tomorrow, as we've been talking about. On Tuesday the 10th, the moon is actually going to enter Libra, so then we get that balancey effect kind of coming in, and that is going to be very, very welcome after the full moon, because this really is an intense one. It's known as the worm moon in the Native American cycle, because it's when the worms are getting busy in the soil in the northern hemisphere, and so it's got a lot to do with nature coming to life, that kind of thing. Very positive in some ways, just loads and loads of energy. And then on Thursday the moon is actually going to enter Scorpio. That's going to be 2:28 a.m. Pacific, 5:28 a.m. Eastern, and actually only 4 hours after that here in UK it's going to be 9:28 a.m. because the States and Canada have gone into daylight saving time and the UK hasn't done that yet, and that will be the case right through Friday the 13th. Okay, so that is a look at all the important stuff that's going on in astrology next week, and there are other important things than the full moon, other important things than Mercury retrograde, but those are the big astrological characteristics of the week. It's good to keep it simple in astrology. Every little change and every little detail does make a slight change to the way we experience life and the way we experience relationships with each other, but you can go so deep that it just stops making sense. So I do like to keep it simple. Okay, so it's going to be a fabulous week, but it's going to be a very interesting week next week. So I hope you enjoy it. I will be back on Friday the 13th, with a look at the weekend that's coming towards us next weekend. Meanwhile, my friends, thanks very much for watching. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, subscribe, tap the bell, etc., etc. Leave me a comment, we'll share the journey, and I'll be back very soon. Peace.